Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Friends, you have all, you must be aware that we are going through a phase of a climate change, and global warming is a buzzword, and it's a thrust area wherein everybody is concerned, either indirectly or directly. Before water reaches over our head, it has almost reached above our neck, to tell you. But before it reaches over our head, we need to be cautious on these things. Okay, it's just not a simple temperature rise. What I'm going to talk to you is about my little knowledge on the sea surface temperature. My area of study is air-sea interaction. So sea surface temperature happens to be a very important factor when it comes to exchanges of mass and energy across the air-sea interface, and therefore its impact in terms of let's say upwelling, in terms of chlorophyll production, in terms of coral bleaching. This happens to be the implications of changes in the temperature. Okay. We okay. You must have seen these pictures. Okay, they are all exotic pictures. These are things which exist in the ocean. They don't exist at great depths, right? They exist at a depth till your sunlight light reaches, right? So they are. These are called as corals, right? I don't know how many of you have seen this before or have been aware of this. So there are different types. This is just few of them. Then you have this one, and you can see this, right? It has almost died. It's not a white coral. It has died. So entire area, the forest, okay, coral forest has died. Here you can see they are live as well as dead one. Remember, there are also some corals which are white in color. Okay, so otherwise skeleton, which is made of calcium carbonate, is white in color. In India, we have it over here. In around the world, we have it at many places. I'm coming to that particular image a little later. Why these corals are important for us? What makes them important for us? It becomes a source of food in terms of if you think of fisheries, which is associated with corals, many other animals, sea anemones that are associated with them. People go find them over there in the sheltered waters, and that gives them food. In some country, okay, many countries wherever they are also destinations of tourists. People use them for to see this exotic life there, in terms of their recreation part of their life. And fisheries is rich in fisheries. Basically, more than 50% of biodiversity is associated in this small area of the world ocean. And it's rich in fisheries. You get very ornamental fishes over there. I have also tried, and I can tell you, fishes from corals are quite tasty compared to other fishes. They are, to some nations, they are the only they form the major source of income. Okay. Then corals are also used to extract drugs for cancer, drugs for HIV, and that's the reason why they are also important. They are considered as rainforest of oceans, right? So basically, if you see, 1/4 of all marine fish species are there. Apart from fish species, there are also other species. Okay, in that, I will speak to you something before we come to exactly finding out with sea surface temperature what is happening. Okay, why we need to talk about that particular sea surface temperature. Oh, why at all the sea surface temperatures increasing? Now, in case I go a bit fast, you need to put a break to me, or Sanjay can also ask me. My friend will be there to just hold me for some time if I'm going fast. Yes, so if you look at the carbon dioxide before pre-industrial revolution, that is somewhere before 1880, right? It was 280 parts per million by volume. Okay, and slowly we started using coal, then fossil fuels. We burn them for our various requirements, for our various processes, for our wheels of economy to roll, and then we emit carbon dioxide. Now, question is how much we are emitting. Per year, we introduce carbon dioxide in excess of 6 gigatons. Okay, this is added to atmosphere. Out of this 6 gigatons, okay, more than 6 gigatons, nearly 2 gigatons are coming back to Earth, okay, by way of this vegetation. The plants also need carbon dioxide, so they get a lot of carbon dioxide. They take carbon dioxide for photosynthesis processes. And now, when 2 goes in that, around 2 to 3 again goes in the oceans, goes in the ocean in the form of.
So now we have this. Okay, we'll go ahead this way. We have this carbon dioxide being inducted in the atmosphere, and that's in excess of 6 gigatons. More around. First, it was believed that the oceans are taking up 2 gigatons. Recent research shows that oceans are taking more than around 2.7 to 2.9 gigatons of carbon every year. Now, the data which is available, which I'm putting out over here, is the latest data available at Mauna Loa Laboratory, which is in Pacific Ocean, where they collect these air samples from the island. Now, if you try to see what's the concentration in the cities, certainly the concentration in the cities will be much more. Now, from in 1850 or so, the concentration was around 280 ppm. Now it has moved up. Okay. So generally, this also fluctuates with the seasons. In the month of May, it has 418. Now it has gone down, and that leads to what is called as a greenhouse effect. Okay, so I hope everyone knows what is greenhouse effect. The sun emits radiation over a wide wavelength of a wide spectrum of electromagnetic radiations, from cosmic waves to radio waves, and then you have cosmic wave reflected by the magnetic field of the Earth. Then you have UV rays being stopped by the ozone, which you heard in the previous previous presentation. And you get what is called as visible rays, part of this ultraviolet, and the infrared rays. Then you have microwaves and a small portion of radio waves within the surface. Now, the Earth also is above 0 degree Kelvin, so it also emits radiations, something around 10 to 12 microns in reach, mainly in this range. And carbon dioxide, then again, if you see, at 9.8 microns and at 15 microns, okay, the carbon has got a lot of affinity to absorb the radiation. So that heats the atmosphere. So you trap the energy. So that's called as greenhouse effect. Okay, and the consequence of greenhouse is that the air temperature goes up. The air temperature goes up. So this is again a latest figure which is available, monthly average of August, September. As of now, till morning today, 11:30, it was not available. So that was the latest data. Now, if you look at how's the temperature, air temperature rising, you can see the fluctuations are there. There is a fluctuation, 12-month running mean, okay, then 60-month, 5 years running mean, and this is the trend. So if you see the trend line, certainly the temperatures are increasing. Certainly the temperatures are increasing. So we find that yes, there is a reason to believe that temperatures are rising, and along with this associated with rise in the carbon dioxide concentration. Okay, so if someone asks you what is exactly, somebody taught you about the temperature rise, and do you know what's the air temperature which is risen? 2011 to 2020, it has risen by 0.82, while that in the previous decade it was 0.62 degrees Celsius. So certainly in our past decade, 2011 to 20, it has increased more than in the previous decade. And when you look at the overall, okay, yes, temperature in the northern hemisphere is increasing at much faster rate than the temperature in the southern hemisphere. In the northern hemisphere, we have 1.28 degrees centigrade temperature above the average, 1.28 degrees centigrade above the average. Certainly, then this 2016 was the warmest year in the records. So this was still warmer than that. Then while the southern hemisphere is not warming up as strongly as the northern hemisphere. So we have these are the years. If you see 2016, we had an anomaly of 1 degree. In 2020, we had 0.98. So we need not be very complacent about it, but it's just a decrease of 0.02. Okay, 0.02. That's especially because the December of 2020 turned out to be November and December turned out to be very cold. Okay, so that's the reason. Now, what is the projection then? By 2025, it is believed that the temperature rise will be 1.1. We might feel that okay, 1.1. What's the big deal in that? But no, even 0.1 makes a big difference. It makes a big difference for change of habitat. It makes a big difference for ocean circulation, air circulation, ice melting. Okay, so on and so forth. All right, many things are there. I will explain that as a paucity of time. So then now question is, if we take a daily temperature, can we see which are the areas which are showing higher temperature? This is again the latest figure available on the net. Okay, from NOAA. Okay, then what we find is that yes, there is regions which shows temperature considerably high, as high as 4 degrees centigrade. So on an average, we are talking about a 1.1 degree centigrade or 0.98 degree centigrade per year. But 4th of October 2021 showed us some areas where the temperature is as high as 4. So that means there is every reason for us to believe that this climatology of these regions, the habitats of this region, will change drastically. And this is here the GIS maps the ecosystems there. Okay, and overlays the climatic controls on it. Okay. So this was the temperature rise. Apart from this, the human activity, the anthropogenic activity brings out, introduces a lot of carbon dioxide. We know, okay. So initially it was thought, as I said, 2 billion tons of carbon dioxide. Okay, so 2 gigatons. No, now it is thought to be much more than that. So if you think of this 27-year period, we realize that whatever we estimated as 43 billion tons of carbon dioxide, it's not 43. Instead, it is 67 billion tons. So in other words, what we are seeing is there is an increased concentration of carbon dioxide in the water. There's an increased concentration of carbon dioxide in the air. Now, in the air index, we talk about air temperature rise and so on and so forth. And in the oceans, what we come to our corals, right? So in the oceans, what happens is that this sea surface temperature also rises. So as the temperature of the water rises, then the organisms which are used to certain temperature ranges during certain times of year, they are disturbed. And one such organisms which we are trying to see is the zooplanktons, which are called as dinoflagellates. They are basically algal group. They belong to dinoflagellate species. Sorry, I don't know what the species or this commonly called as dinoflagellates. Not a man from biology, so I'll not speak much on that. What do they do? Okay, what we find is that the algae uses. Okay, there is some algae called zooxanthellae. This algae called zooxanthellae. Now, this algae takes sunlight. Okay, produces nutrients, and these nutrients are passed on to corals. All right. So, what does the coral do in turn? It will utilize, synthesize those nutrients, produces ammonia, and this zooxanthellae, that's that algae, will consume that ammonia. Okay, and that's a nutrient for the zooxanthellae. Okay, so this is symbiotic relationship. So in regions where this symbiotic relationship is very strong, the corals will grow 10 times faster. In other regions, no, it will not grow to that extent. So what will happen then in that case if the temperature keeps on rising all around? Okay, initially it was thought that the corals are present only in the temperate region, but now, only in the tropical region, but now it has been found that they are present also in temperate region. I have used slightly different colors, okay, to indicate differences between them, but they are present worldwide. Fine. Now, what does carbon dioxide introduction in the seawater does? First, it increases the acidity of the seawater. So from 8.3, it has become 8.1. Okay, so it has become 8.1 in the surface waters. So whenever the acidity increases, then what happens? The shells Okay, the calcium, the corals which are made of calcium carbonate, they are under stress. They are under stress. So because of that stress, then the growth of the corals are affected. As a result of growth of coral, the corals which are, if they are not in a good position, then they will expel this zooxanthellae, algae, right? Apart from this, what we find is that the sea surface temperature rise has led to generation of thermal stress on corals. Now, compared to the acidity in the seawater, this temperature effect has become more dominant. Now, from here onwards is our part wherein we will try to understand. Okay, so what will happen if the acidity increases or temperature stress, thermal stress increases? So the corals which are like this, okay, they will expel out the zooxanthellae under thermal stress, and they will not get a nutrient. Okay, they will not get their nutrient, they will not get the calcium carbonate, and the corals die. Okay, the corals die. We need to identify which are the areas where there is a possibility that corals will die. Now, all those areas wherein the temperature stress will be there, that we need to identify. And if there are corals over there, then certainly these corals will die. And these corals will die if the temperature increase is more, one. Two, if the temperature increase, maybe it is less, but it remains prolonged over a period of time. So in that circumstances, then you will find that yes, corals will die. Okay. Few things from details from this I have skipped. I hope I have not missed the continuity. Okay. Yes. So next is if you know that how much warming has occurred, that we quantify first in terms of something called hotspot, and finally in terms of degree of heating mix. And there are formulae to find out this. And when we find out over this, okay, this is the various status, right? And you will find that certainly when DHW is between 0 to 4, right, wherein the hotspot is less than equal to 1, that means it becomes between 0, okay, HS is between 0 to 1, and 1 is greater than HS, or HS is less than, HS is greater than 1, HS is greater than 1, then in that case, certainly it's in alert level. Now, if HS is greater than 1 and then it remains persistent for 4 to 8 weeks, then okay, it's bad. Okay, corals will die. And if it is more than 8 weeks, then the entire colony gets destroyed. Entire colony of corals get destroyed. So from this point onwards, I will move on to a processing software which is called Bilko. It is available free on the internet on the UNESCO's website. Okay, nowadays I am not using Bilko for my work. Instead, because Bilko uses this kind of data, binary data. I now use the MODIS sea surface temperature data, which is available also in binary, also in CSV format, comma separated ASCII files. Now, these ASCII files, it becomes easy for us to also find out if at all there is an error in the data. Okay, in case of a binary file, if there is an error while downloading, it becomes difficult. So it just takes the data as a data, but if value has changed, whether something has happened, we do not know. In fact, today, even in the morning at around 11:30, when I was transferring data files from one system to another, there was an error, but the error is not indicated. But when I was trying to display the SST files using the Bilko software, it was not displayed. That's because there was an error while compiling. It happens when your computers are parallelly running so many things. So if you are passionate about coding, then you can do Python programming or Fortran or C++ or whatever you want, and then you will need to use a paid software called Surfer. Otherwise, Bilko does the job. Okay. I will not deal with this coding part because that will take a long time and many will not be in a position to accept it. Okay. So from this point onwards, we'll move on to the software called Bilko. What is that we are going to do? We will look at only the SST and not the carbon dioxide. So SST data over the period will collect which data? NOAA, NOAA's infrared data we will use. Then using this data, we'll find out an average SST. Then we will find out, let's say for today, we are finding out sea surface temperature difference between today and average of today over so many years. That's called as anomaly. Okay. So then we find out something called hotspots. Hotspots are the regions where which will tell us that okay, what was the change in the temperature? 0 to 1, or 1 to 2, or 2 to 3, or 3 to 4. Okay, so depending on our requirement, that requirement is that to find out in what way it's affecting the corals. We move on to next, then finding out if the increase in temperature or anomaly, which you are seeing a positive anomaly, is consistent over a long period of time, then we say it's a degree heating wave, right? So, and then we use the criteria which I have shown, that is UNESCO's criteria, we shall use to declare the bleaching potential. So now I move on to, okay, this is in the flow chart of what all I am doing, okay? Yeah, so that's a flow chart. And over here, if you see, if you look at again today's data, this is a 5 kilometer SST anomalies. This is the change. Okay, this is the data which is latest available, latest scenario. Okay, these are these are the hotspots. Okay, where the temperature are in a way warmer than what the corals can tolerate. So with this, I close this presentation to move on to the next presentation, that is of Bilgo software. Did you all see transition of slides, or it was the same slide? Dr. Sanjay?
Sir, you are on slide number 19.
Okay. You all have seen the transition of slides, I believe. Slides were moving, no?
No, slide number 19 it is.
No. What I'm asking you is that these slides were moving, or it was only one slide that was shown up?
No, slides were moving.
Moving, okay, fine.
They were moving. Sir, if you want to change from this screen to other screen, then you can go through the share screen options.
Yeah, that is
Other
better.
screens also on the screen.
We'll just go for direct screen sharing. It is better. Now I take you. You are able to see this new screen now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. I have this Coral thing over here with me. The data. Now, certainly all these data sets along with the link to software, I will be passing on to the coordinator, Dr. Sanjay. Okay, so those who are interested can certainly take it from him because the files are too many and they are also big. The first thing which we do is that we shall open a file which is in hierarchical data format. This is one binary, one way of writing a binary data. Okay, another way is NetCDF format. We nowadays it's written as .nc. Okay, otherwise when it began it was written as NCF. Right. So I take this file. I open it as an image. Okay, very important that it should be image over here. Otherwise, it can be something else also. So images will show a list over here. I open, and then I have this brightness temperature. Okay, so okay. As I was copying in the morning from another system to this system, some error occurred. I was not able to see the images. So, but I will see image which is already prepared is over here. Now over here, I take the data, all right? I say extract everything. It's just say okay, and then redisplay will come. Input range, it says these are the digital numbers, okay, and just say apply, and you get a file, the image. Okay, this is the image. Fine. Now, if you look over here, look at this side over here. Yeah, these are all integer numbers. We call it as digital number or DN values. Digital number or DN values. Now, this is telling you what exactly the satellites has observed in terms of outgoing long wave radiation minus the atmospheric correction. So whatever the satellite has actually picked up, right, that it is, right, minus the atmospheric the correction. So people who do inverse modeling, they first thing what they do is that they design a sensor which is sensitive in infrared region. Okay, so as the amount of energy reaching the sensor is more, then what happens is that the signal or the current flowing through that center is more, through that sensor is more. So in the satellite, what happens is that you get a kind of a quantification of the amount of radiation coming in that particular bandwidth. Yeah. So you have okay. You look at sun now. Sun emits maximum radiation in which wavelength? In yellow light. Temperature of sun is 6,000 degrees centigrade, corona temperature. Now, Earth, so this is in yellow light, so around 450 nanometers. Now look at the Earth, which is cooler. It emits radiation not in such short wavelength, but in longer wavelength. The longer wavelength here is a 10 to 12 micron window. So you have over here the satellite which captures the outgoing long wave radiations. You have designed a sensor which is sensitive to only infrared radiation. Clear? And then whatever signal or whatever voltages are picked up by the satellite sensor, those the atmospheric corrections are done. So in other words, what all was the interference of the atmosphere on these radiations, okay, that interference is subtracted. And you get, NOAA gives you these values. NOAA gives you these values. All right, if someone is interested in doing further calculation on what is the atmospheric loading or atmospheric corrections to be done, NOAA also gives you still raw values. Yeah, so you can always work on that. So taking this, so now you can see these are all digital values, digital numbers we call it, right? And this 220 and all are this should be 0, black. Okay, this is 255, grayscale. Okay, this is 255. Okay, so you have now now the brightness temperature. I want to convert this brightness temperature into the sea surface temperature. So for that, there are formulas. So I go open. Okay. Meanwhile, I close this window. I go to my formulas and convert to SST. Okay, this is given. I copy this data, go to that image, and I paste it over there. Now, what has happened? All the brightness values have been converted to sea surface temperature. Now, if you think, if you can recall, here you have digital number, isn't it? Which was integer. Now you see what it is. Now it is a floating point number. So this is sea surface temperature. This is a sea surface temperature. Now, if you have this data and if you can develop those code which I have just shown, okay, you can always manipulate this image to whatever extent you want, okay, to whatever extent you want, okay. So you have now sea surface temperature image. Now, but this sea surface temperature image is in gray color. We want to do false color photography kind of thing. We want to assign colors so that the image looks like the images which is provided by NOAA. So I open this. Okay, I go to color palettes. Okay, CRW SST file. So only double click this, it should do the job. It's done. Okay, now I want to further just refine it. Okay, so it's temperatures. Okay, now I say redisplay by right clicking. On this side, I take -2. Well, this side I take 34 and say apply. Okay, and say close. Now it has moved up to 34 only. Okay, from -2. Otherwise, it was a kind of a not that rounded number. Okay. So what we have done, we have learned, okay, how to get a raw data of radiances or brightness temperature. We have done that what you call conversion of that to sea surface temperature, and this color was then judiciously used for -2 to 34 degrees centigrade. Right. With this, I close the small section over here. Okay, I say Windows close off, close it. Fine. Now with this, I move on to another one. I say open the file. Okay, and I would like to see. Okay, I want images here. No, not this one. Okay, I will use this one. If you see this, these are all January files, 2005, 01. Okay, why do I take 2005? 2005 in the Caribbean island, there was a massacre of corals. Okay, so we use this as a classic example to show exactly that corals how it is got affected. Okay, you have all these files. These are the files of January. I say open. All right. So be careful over here when you have, now you can see this file while opening has had an error. Okay, that means Windows in the background is trying to update, and this is what it happens later. So anyway, I will not worry about that. I will. Okay, this one also is gone. Okay, it will crash my this one. No, it will crash. So too many things. If it's open, Wilco will crash. Okay, start Wilco once again. Okay, it's not allowing. Just one or two, if I could have shown you a little bit. The option now is to reboot, but I will not do that because I don't want to use another half an hour. Okay, so you can see this. This is a file. Okay, now what are the things in this? If you see here, you can also open the properties. You will get to know what is the offset value. Data is stored as what? It's stored as 2 byte data. Resolution is 50 kilometers. Okay, all those things, missing value or values from the land is 777777. Okay, and all these things are there. And this one I shall open the data file. I say apply. So this is one file. I open another one now. This is which one? 16th of, okay, 4th of January. Okay, this is my data now. Once it starts, you start getting bad data, then it corrupts the file, and then it's very difficult. You have to use your original or reset the system. Okay, this is another file. So this parent files I'll delete. This one also I delete. I have finished 11th and 15th together. I try to finish. Yes, it is not corrupted. This was 8. 15, 8 and 11. So now I have 11, 15, 15 I have. So there is something 8 plus 11, 15. Then I have 18, 22, 22 I'll take at a time. So this is 22 and this is 22. So I close this. This is 18. Okay, it is corrupted. Oh, okay, let it go. So over here we have, all right, I will not do because otherwise I'll have to again close Wilco. Okay. Now what is that I want to do? Okay, if you see, you can see over here, all the files I've done. I want to join all these files. So what I do is, I go here, I go to image and connect. So whichever ones you want, you can connect, right? So 1, 8, 11, 15, and 22. So I select all of them, I say connect. Now, all this I have, if you see, they have all these files, they have now this digital numbers. They have digital numbers. You can see this. These are integers, digital numbers. Okay, I want that they should be given the C-surface temperature. So I have connected all of them. I say open. I say formula. I would like to have a formula that converts to C-surface temperature. I copy this formula and on this I paste. Now what has happened? If you see, if you want to see some other image, okay, right? So if you can see third image. So because that link has broken, otherwise all the files gets converted. So I see again open the formula, okay, and then the formula is here, and I say paste it. Okay. Okay, now you can see this. I paste. No, it is not done. Copy this and I say paste. Okay. Now this should be something I missed here while connecting. 4 or 5. I will just remove this. Files I again take image, connect. I select all the files. Say okay. Now I have all these files. Okay. You can just turn and see. Now actually there were 8 of them, 9 of them, because some have got corrupted while loading. So you have now connect. Okay, I connect all of them. Okay, I think I connected it. So now I look for a formula again. The formula is to convert. It's here. I say copy. Then I say paste over here. So this gives me the first one. This gives me, you can see this. Okay, no, it's not done. All right. This is the way why we can do it at converting many data files with temperature. Now, in this case, what happens is that the loop I have missed because some files have got corrupted. Otherwise, I'll show you over here. You can see this. This is digital number over here. I'll take this file, copy this. On this file, I paste. Right, you can see this now. Values have become temperature. This is how we convert. Now, what to do about the color? Color, just as in the first case I've shown, we go to color palettes, double click. So the color comes on this. Now, if I was successful in connecting all the images, I do it for one. Automatically, every other data gets connected. Every other data on every other data, I get the color image. Okay, this is because the sequence of files has one of the files, two of files have got missed. Okay, so this is the thing that is done. Now this was for only 1 month, that is called month of January. Month of January. You can also do it for your entire year. So if you want to do it for entire year, then you have to have the data for this entire year. So in other words, you need to have the files. Okay, this is from January. Okay, you can see these are from February and goes up to December. Okay, goes up to December. Now, if I try to load all these files, like how I was doing this 9 files, what will happen is that most of the files will get corrupted. Okay, so I don't want to do it. You need a better system the system which I was trying on that, there was a difficulty with internet. So now I moved on to laptop, which has got not that sufficient power, okay, to handle this. Or else you should have very less number of programs on your softwares on your laptop. Okay. Okay, if we connect all those files, right, then we make a kind of a set. We call it that as a set. So instead of opening all the files, right, we can also open the files as a set. So what I do is, I say set. Okay. Then I move on to SSD stack. Okay, no sets here. Okay, it's here. Yeah, right. So all those files, okay, all those 152 weeks. So per week there are 2 files. So 152 into 2, the total is 105 files. So 105 files will be found. Okay. So it's getting those files. Right. So you can see this. These are all the digital numbers. C surface temperature. Now from where? From that 105 files. How do we know 105 files? All of them have come over here. You can see. This is one way. Okay. So this is 101 of 155. Okay. So you have the C surface temperature data now for all. Okay. Now, if you want to give a color, certainly you can give. All right. So open and then you have a color. Okay. So it's there for all the files. Now you can see this. Now you take any other file. This is what I was telling you that in the last one. Okay, there the file got corrupted. Sometimes everything comes nicely, provided Windows is not busy in the background. So what we find is that the DN values, digital numbers can be converted to your what we call as the C surface temperature. Okay. Now after this, we find out what is monthly SST. Okay, we find out what is monthly SST. So we go, okay, I say Windows, I will close all these windows. Okay, I say Windows, file, and then I say open, okay, and then open. Okay, formula, this I have done all this. Okay. Now, okay, after first I have converted the images to your SST, given a color to it, showed you how you can have links or connect the images. Then how can you can connect the images and apply formula at one go to all the images, apply color to all the images at one go. Now, okay, now we will find out how we can find out SST anomaly image. SST anomaly image. So it is SST anomaly that is important. How much SST is different than what it used to be normally. That decides the health of the coral. So I go to open, then I go for images, not palettes, but I will need images. Okay, stack SDF. Okay, this will give me some images. Okay, I'll pick up one. That's the last one, so that it doesn't clutter much. I have my image now. Right. So I will quickly do two things over here, as I have done before also. I will first thing I will do is convert. Now all these images which I have converted are also there, but I am doing it so that you see a repetition and you don't forget. Okay. So this is there, right? So that it is done. Now I go to image and redisplay. Okay, I do it from -2 to 34. Okay, and I say close. Okay, just as in the other one, I do a pellets. So it is done. Now what we will do is, this is the file. If you see, this is the file for 17th of September. Okay, file which is 17. That means this is the file for 16, 17, and 18 of September. Now, if I want to find out anomaly, I want to know on this day, okay, which regions of the world ocean were having temperature different than the temperature of the September, for the world ocean. So then I go to file, open. Then I go for those images again. So I'm finding out now the anomaly. Okay, please remember, now I'm finding a anomaly. Climatological stack, I go, I want only September file. Okay, September file. I say okay. Okay, I say okay. So now after this, right, I have certainly I will say okay, displays okay, it displays -2 in the last case I have done is 34. So this image has got -2 to 34 range. So I apply over here. Now I need my color palette. Color palettes. Okay, color palettes available. Okay. Now if you look at these two swans images, you can see this uniform. There's a degree of uniformity in this. There's a degree of uniformity in this. What else you see? The eastern boundary, currently at the eastern boundary of the oceans are cooler. You can see this, oceans are cooler. Clear? And if you think of the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean, no doubt Pacific Ocean is bigger than Atlantic. You have a large areas of Pacific wherein temperatures are warmer. Let's look at our Indian Ocean. You can see this Indian Ocean also around our country. The seas are warmer. Okay, the seas are warmer. Okay, so now what I do is, okay, I will keep this climate image on top. Okay, I go to image and I say connect. September, I'll keep it on top. So September, I keep it on top, and then okay. Now with this, what has happened is that we are having two files, okay, which will be listed over here. Okay, there are two files which are listed over here, one minus the other. So every pixel from this file, okay, minus this file is done. Okay, minus this file is done. Sorry, pixel from this and this are mapped. Okay, now I want to find out from this image, if I take a difference, what would be the anomaly? So then for that, I go to file and open, then I go to formula, and then now SST anomaly calculator. I copy this formula, and on this image, which is connected image, I paste. So what I get is the new image with SST anomaly. Now let us see the values here. You can see this values are over here. You see the values are not 25, 26, and 20, 32 and all. These are all the anomalies. These are the anomalies. These are the anomalies. Fine. So now I would like to distribute the gray pixels that range from 1 to 255. Okay, 0 is used for 0 to 254, because 255 is used to indicate the length or undefined values. So I want to judiciously use that. So I right click or click on image and redisplay, and I have something like, okay, -5 I give over here. Okay, and I can give here over here +5 to make it more distinct. I said okay. Now I would like to give some color to it. Now I would like to give some color to it. So I go to open and okay, anomaly is here. Palettes, I need a formula. Anomaly, you can see a sustainable. All right. So this is the anomaly. So what has happened now? You can see large portions of the ocean also show cooling. At the same time, there are large parts of the world ocean which also show warming. Right? Anybody would like to interact and tell me something else also you are able to see from this image that could break the monotony in the class? Okay, there's no one. All right. One thing which I have not done is that I have not considered the images of 2020, which I have actually downloaded and kept. Okay, that's because of paucity of time. Otherwise, you would have really seen how 2020 was totally different. That's because the atmosphere was clean, and as a result of clean atmosphere, we had a lot of sunshine, and the temperatures of the sea were higher. Okay, so that I have not done it because of paucity of time. This 2005 data is 1 degree data, and that this is 0.5 degree data, and 2020 data is 0.1 degree data. Okay, so therefore it will hang for a longer period of time. If I had that power of some other system, I would have gone for it. So what we find is that there are warmer regions. Look over here, Eastern Pacific warm. In all this, during the month of September, which happens to be a summer month in Northern Hemisphere, what we find is that large parts of polar region show abnormal warming during 2005. Okay, so large parts we see abnormal warming. Surprisingly, all right, there are also regions in the Arctic Ocean which show abnormal cooling. Fine. So you have over here again abnormal cooling. You see over here abnormal warming and abnormal cooling. And if you compare in general these latitudes with the polar region, what you find is that the polar regions are warming up at a faster rate. The polar waters are warming up at a faster rate, faster compared to these tropical regions. Right. With this, I will close this, and we now move on. So we inch towards now. We have found anomaly. Now our job is to find out. Now this is anomaly is what? Anomaly between one date, that is what was the date? Yeah, 17th of September with September month. Okay, 17th of September with September month. Now I want anomaly of every data file, okay, with the corresponding climatological value. And this now the next climatology which I want to do is not, I don't want to do it for September month, but I want to do it for annual climatology. Okay, so now my target is slightly moving more towards finding out, because corals will live in the water throughout the year, isn't it? So now I'm moving out towards the entire period. I go to Windows, I close all. Okay, I go to open. I only pray that it doesn't give error. I want now sets which are already done. Okay, climatology set, climatology. Okay, all right. It should be 12 files should be there. 1 of 12. This is January. That time I was showing you only September. Now this is July. Okay, so on and so forth. Right. So you have now these are the brightest temperature. If I click over here, you can see this. Nowhere. Okay, these are the temperatures. Okay, this is the temperature data. Right. So now what I want is that this from this sea surface temperature, I want to know where it is I want to know basically in which month at that particular place the temperature was highest. All right, now please listen to me carefully. Let us say we are let's say India. Okay, we are distributed in different cities. I am right now in Goa University, and Dr. Sanjay is in Margao now in his college. Now we have generated, okay, at every point over here, so at every place over India, average temperature of the year, average temperature of the of the year. That is climatological now average. Is this fine? Now, from this, I want to find out, okay, at Goa University, all right, when was the temperature maximum? Naturally, it will be in Goa, it is in 2 times in a year. One is in October or November, early November, and the other one is during April or May. So I will find, let's say, 32 degrees centigrade in the month of May. Sanjay also found it as 30 degrees centigrade in the month of October. All right. So that means for Sanjay, for that particular place, the highest temperature is 30. And for me, it is 32. So I want to have a map of India at each place of ours, okay, every participant, every person's place, what was the highest temperature. That I should consider as a temperature. Clear? And apart from this, I also want, okay, so I've also taken the monthly averages of all the months. Okay, so January month, what was the average? February month, what was the average? So on and so forth. So to find out when was the maximum temperature, I will need to now apply for a formula. Okay, so we move on to formula. Maximum monthly mean. Yeah, maximum monthly mean we want. Okay, this is what we apply. We say copy this, and to this I say paste. Now you can see this. Right. Now what has happened? What is this showing? What is this showing? Okay. So it shows you what are the maximum temperatures. All right. So I need to rescale the display. So your values can be -2 to let's say 34. Fine. Now what does this show? This tells us, okay, over here at this particular point, let's say Sanjay has got a station over here. The warmest temperature was 23.8. Some time of the year. Which time of the year we do not know now. So what I want is there what was the temperature? Okay, this part I am there selling over here 23.8. Okay, somebody is selling over here 25.9. Okay, I am seeing Mr. Ashok Sangle. Let's say he's over here. He's finding 27.3. So everyone has got now a temperature over here. Everybody has got now a highest temperature recorded over here. So now okay, let me do it nicely, a little bit of color so that brings kind of a change in my lecture. Right. So these are the highest temperatures which are observed over the globe over a period of 1 year. Right. So now I shall save, this is my final file. I shall save this file as file save as monthly mean. I think I have already saved it. Let me see. Okay, it's here. Monthly mean climate. Okay, so I need not save this. Right, or else, okay. This is okay. So just a minute. Okay, so fine. So I have this as a temperature. Now I want to know now all these temperatures over the sea surface, which are the regions where which are the regions that has shown temperatures which are not tolerable by the corals of that region. For example, I am at this particular location, all right, and I am seeing that this is 21.5. Right, this is the maximum temperature. Now, so I want to know now which are the places, so which are the regions where the temperature has gone above the threshold, isn't it? Above the threshold. So we want to know where is the threshold. Okay. So now, in other words, what we say is that we want what is called as a hotspot regions. All right. So I will retain this window and close all other windows. Otherwise, I'll have to restart everything. So we need the the image. So now I open, okay. Climatology is down. Okay, images. In night. Just 1 minute. What name I give? I night field. Okay. These are individual files. So similar. Okay. I take up this one. Okay. Right. So I have very quickly to do few things which are our customary things. We say apply, and then I move on. I close this so that resources of the computer are reserved for working. Then I have this, and then I will convert this to this one surface temperature. Okay, I copy this. Okay. Just move something wrong going on. SST. Start doing this. Okay. Apply formula for this. Some mistake. Okay. Just 1 minute. Give me some time. I will start again. Yeah, just a minute. First was our climatology file. Okay, that is was kept in here, I believe, and then okay, that was our climatology file. Then we just 1 minute. Just stop. Okay. Climatology stack. Sets it is there. Okay. So these are all. It should give me all the months data. Otherwise, I'll have to open. Okay, which one? Well, images now I've got January to December. Maximum monthly mean I want now temperatures. These are now already surface temperature. Already you can see this already done. Now I want to apply a formula for maximum monthly mean, which I was talking to you. Maximum monthly mean formula. Okay, I copy this and I paste it on this. Then I go for giving color to it. Color palettes. Okay. This is where I open. copy everything. I paste out over here. So I get this image. I will redisplay this using the ranges we want. That's -2 to 34, 34. So that's this, you can see this. These are all surface temperatures. All right, that's shown in the right bottom corner. I want to put the color because in the later one the color is applied. Okay, I save this file. Save as or it is called as. I will save it as MMM. Monthly maximum mean climatology, monthly maximum mean climatology.net. Okay, so this is a file which is saved. I will close all other windows other than this. Okay, so Windows except close all except. Okay, so except this. Right now I go to again file open. I hope this time there is no error in the loading. Then I open and then I go to images in folder. I move, I take the file which is showing the highest coral effect, bleaching effect, and I have all this. Okay, September 15, September 17, 2005. I apply, and then so I have now this as okay. Now this correct. The digital values are there. So now I have to go for a formula. Okay, you need to copy this. We need to paste it. Okay, now this is fine. Right. So you have now this one. Okay. Now I close this. Right. These are the two files which have. This is maximum monthly mean climatology data. That means from January to December, at every pixel point, what was the highest sea surface temperature? And this one is the temperature on 17th of September. On the 17th of September. Okay. So now we look at we need to find out now. There's the hotspots. Okay. So I go to yes. Just a minute. I should write down this file name. Okay. Now I have this as now. Okay. Both these are there. I keep this one on top. Say image. I like to connect both these images, climatology and individual data set. All right. Both are connected them. Okay. You can see this. Both the files are connected. First one is climatology, and having done this, I will go for now finding out the hotspot. So I want to know formula for hotspot. So somewhere hotspot calculate is there. Yeah, this is the formula. Okay, that we can calculate. So I say copy this, right, and then on this I say paste. Right, you see a totally black image. We will say a totally black image. Now, what is to be done? Okay, we this doesn't look very nice. Okay, nothing can be seen. We go to image. We go to redisplay. Well, these values are not so high in the image. Actual value 0.01. Okay, and then you need to give on so many and try which is the best, which is your the actual range required. So okay, fine. Now this is good. Right, it is showing some places. Okay, and now I will put a color palette so that it brings little color to our presentation. And you are able to distinguish it nicely. Now you can see this. You have now what is called as hotspots. These are called as hotspots. Now these are the places where the temperature is okay. Over here you can see this temperature is 5 degrees. Over here, right? Okay, something over here 0 to 0 to 0.0 to 0 to 1, 0 to 0.51, so on and so forth. So color is seen. Now, next thing I should have done is, okay, I will just once again, I will not pay attention to this one. So I have over here, then I say open, then I applied formula to it. So when I applied, formulas applied, first formula applied to this image, and everything black became. Okay. Now on this, I will go to redisplay and find the values we need to change. Okay. Minimum is minus 0.01. Okay. To maximum is 5. Okay. Okay. Minus 0.01 to 5. Okay, null values we should give, and that null value should be minus 999. All those line values. That's there in our formula. Okay, then consider wherever there is minus 999, ignore the points. So that's the formula. So apply, and I say close. Now I go to color palettes. Okay, you can see this. So you have, we find that this is the the region where you have hotspots. Okay, these are the regions where you have hotspots. Now I move on to, I will skip these two intermittent steps. Okay, so these are the hotspots. Now the step which I am now skipping is, I have taken 17 September 2005 as one file and climatology of September as another file. All right, and found out the difference. Like this, I need to do it for every month. Okay, now every 2-3 days, NOAA produces one image. So in other words, in a year, there are 52 weeks and there will be 105 images. So January's image, each out of those 9 images of January, I have to take every image and find out what is the difference with the January, climatology January. Second image, climatology January difference. Third, so on and so forth. Now that step I am not doing for paucity of time. We now move on to another, okay, the last step, that is we want to find out what is the heating, degree heating weeks, right? So for that, I say Windows, close all, fine. I go move on to open. Okay, I go to open. I think it's in this images. Yes. Right. So, oh no. Just 1 minute. Open. While reading, if there is an error, okay. Now in this hierarchical data format file, I have included everything about the sea surface temperature. Okay, anomalies, hotspot image, or what you call as a degree heating weeks also. So I take you to this hotspot image first. I'll just show you how that looks. Okay, I need to apply color now. Open color palette. Now these are done ready-made so that anything goes wrong, then I should have something. These are also the hotspots which are indicated. Now this is for here considering September month climatology of nearly some 7 years. Okay, last time what I have shown you was only 1 year September, but now 7 years September. When you do this is what you get. So degree heating week, those image I'll show. Okay, this you have. This is the image. No, not very fine to see. So what we do is that we go to convert that to. Okay, these are digital values. Okay, you can see this. Nothing. So I need to convert that to formula. Convert to formula. Okay, and this is the formula. I copy this, and on this I will paste. Okay, now you can see that you will have the temperatures. You see, not here. Okay. Show you. Then those regions which are having corals, okay, this which show, they will be showing us the values. Okay, it's very difficult to find out now which one from this, but it shows. Okay, one way is that I change this redisplay to -2, -2 to 34. Okay, is the range that will give me enough. Okay. So, and then I need to give a color to the image. Calculate DSW. No. I want not formulas. I wanted palettes. The color. CR. So this is the image. Now, it has not come nicely. But then one image you had already seen that gives you actually the correct picture. Okay, there is, yeah. Just 1 minute. Has not come. Just 1 minute. We start the image once again. This is a file. Just 1 minute. Okay. I have also saved it as some other file because some files are saved like that. Okay, SST Coral. SST Coral. Okay. And now I have I will just look at this again file. Okay, so you have now all these values apply. Okay, all these are all the values, DN values. I go to open. I want formula. Normally hotspot DHW calculate. Okay, this is the formula. I copy this and DHW I paste it on that. Okay, just to color the right. Okay, I need to redisplay it. You can see here. Values are okay, minus 0.05 because this is what if you click on so many and take a histogram, you will get these values. Okay. Now, having done this, these are also the digital numbers. Okay. Now I look for the formula. I copy this formula and apply it. I have this. Now I open, go for the palettes, and now you have all these regions as the regions where you get there is a strong reason to believe that corals, if they are present in these regions, will die. Corals, if they are present in this region, will die. Okay. Now, these are the regions which has got the higher heating capacity. All right. So once you now I will move out from Wilco and go back to my presentation. So these are the regions identified as regions which have got high potential to kill this one corals. Now with this, if that's the thing, that's the thing to happen, all right, and that different levels I have shown. I have only shown up to 1. You can also change your scale, show it up to 10 or 15. Now, if that's the scenario, then whatever values you get, depending on that, there are the alert status. And depending on the alert status, it gives you what is the status of the corals. Okay, there is a strong thermal stress or whatever it is. That is the scenario. Okay, from this I move on to that the last slide of mine. Okay, which tells you that if we move on to the regions with the global warming, which is expected to be more than 1 degree by 2025. Okay, then certainly the corals, instead of this, many corals will be of this nature. Many corals will be of this nature. And in every individual's capacity, whatever has to be done has to be done. And the first thing which we can do is certainly act in a way wherein we reduce the carbon dioxide emissions from our individual sides. Okay, from our individual levels. So with this, I hope I have been able to do justice. Okay, because of power supply and a little bit error in computation that has occurred. Okay, I do apologize to you. Thank you, and certainly sincere thanks to Dr. Sanjay Gaikwad, Atal Academy, and for the participants who are bearing me for this talk. Okay, so many participants, yes, after half day on online mode, find it very difficult to attend. And of course, the topic also needs to be interesting. Generally, people will be there. If you have anything to know about ASC interactions or even this breaching of corals, then certainly you can find me at askhan.unigod.ac.in. With this, I think I should move on to my video. Okay.
In fact,
Yeah, with this, yeah, dear friends,
Okay.
over to Sanjay. Thank you very much.
Okay, so